Remote show time. Sam's on the road, graduating family, some sort of important thing like that. So we're calling it in this weekend because it's a crazy weekend and summer cannot get settled in for me personally. And, anyway, almost an agreement at gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Go to the website, almostagreement.com. Check out what we got going on there. Go to your favorite podcast provider and you can get us on any of those. Like, friend, share, follow, text us to your friends. Do what you can do to support the show. And we will keep doing what we're doing to make a show. So we appreciate y'all, and we're going to start a show here in just a few seconds. Hi, Fran.
Hey.
What you do?
Oh, just sitting in, well, not the sun in the shade, but it's warm.
It is warm. It's warm here. It's about to start raining again. It rained again yesterday. I did learn yesterday that May was the third wettest May in the history of record keeping for the TVA, at least.
I think I saw an article that said there was more like thunderstorm warnings or tornado watches or warnings in like the month of May than there was in like all of last year or something by this time.
That's crazy too. Jeez, that's a secondary thing that's crazy.
Can't remember exactly what it was, so don't quote me.
So, a lot of water. Speaking of crazy, some guy shot up my store.
Saw that.
Yeah, it actually. How do I word this? I've been thinking about it since it happened. It really stands to reason on what people pay attention to in the news. I've got some anecdotal research on what people who know me bother watching on TV or reading or clicking through on their socials or whatever.
Really?
Because I got
so?
A handful of people who I haven't talked to in 20 years reached out to me this week with a... holy shit, man, are you okay? Is everything all right? I haven't seen you in forever. What's with the Sasquatch look? Stuff like that. And
did you get interviewed for it or something?
Yeah, I did. WAT came out. Kind of trapped me. Like I was debating on it. WVLT had called and asked to set up an interview, and I was like, I really don't know what good that does for anybody. You know me, I'm a no press is bad press kind of guy. So anytime we can be on TV, I usually think of it as a good thing. And at that point,
it can't go either way with that. It's like, I don't know if I want to go there if they got people shooting the place up.
Right. And to make I called Jesse, the one PR guy I know, and said, hey, how do I play this, man? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, part of it is, if you don't do it, it'll hopefully be a shorter bit on the news piece and it'll come and go and you won't have to, it'll be less, it'll just get less airtime because there's less. Because all they're really doing is reporting what KPD did in their press release. And if you speak, then that's going to add on to the duration of that segment on any newscast. So it's going to, if the goal is to not to be hush hush per se about it, but just to let it, blow away because that's what it's going to do anyway. Don't say anything because then you're going to have a little bit more, a little bit less airtime on it, and maybe it'll blow away faster. But then the other side of it, it's like, well, I get the unique position as I can address this both as the business owner that was the victim of this event, as well as the guy that's trying to get Happy Holler to not be known for shit like this. And so the take we ended up, the narrative I ended up making a point of is like the whole reason this is a news story is nobody remembers the last time one of these happened down here.
That's true.
And so I tried to emphasize that point in it, and it's like, it sucks it happened. I'm upset that it happened, but the long and short of it is this could have happened at any neighborhood at any time, and it does in different ways, shapes, or forms.
I can't think of too many that have happened like lately. I know there was that was it a place in between like Kingston Pike and the interstate, like Billiards and Brews or something? I think they had like one or two there within
that
like
was all COVID. That was
period.
back during COVID stuff too.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, that was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Because that guy was super anti-COVID, and he was super like anti-lockdown and shutting his business down because the government told him to, kind of thing.
Right.
And then he throws that on top of it. It's like, man, you got a hard time. You have a hard time standing on your moral superiority here about your right to stay open as a business when this is what's going on in your business. But
right, the local story I saw, that I thought at least it fared well for you guys, and it looked good on your staff. It was like, hey,
yeah, and I mean that's
all that you shouldn't be served. We were like, hey, like we love you, but can't have any more here.
Yeah, and that's another part of it that is. The big, I don't know how to word this again because this is me not overreacting, but overthinking the simplicity of what actually happened. But, it's like this was our duty by law.
Right.
And what do we get for it? We get shot at, and then we get to be in the news, which is bad for business.
And bust out any of the windows?
Yeah, if the first estimate we got on work to get back to whole is about $10,000.
Did it fully shatter any of the panels?
No. Thanks to newfangled tinting and stuff like that, it kept the one of our big windows that got hit. Like the vinyl tinting that's on it is really what's holding it, continuing to hold it together. I went there and super glued all the broken spots and filled up the hole with super glue just to keep it from cracking anymore. Hopefully, while we get it repaired and replaced, but. Yeah, short term, it's still there, but it's one of those like, technically it's a landlord issue. It's his job to fix and replace those by the lease. But B, the other stuff that hit the building hit all of the. It's just a weird old building, and it's got like a set of like 18 by 24 inch windows on the top above the main windows. And there's 3 holes in 2 of those, but they're all 100-and-something-year-old glass panes that don't exist.
Probably, custom made.
Right. At this point, they would have to be custom made. And so, when the one window guy that's come out so far, I was talking to him. I was like, honestly, we're looking at either trying to find that glass, and he's like, we're not finding that glass. And I was like, well, then we're replacing all of those windows, because they need to match. And he's like, yeah, that's probably what I would do too. And so anyway, and procedurally at this point, as I understand it, which is, I don't know, I'm not exactly sure. I need to call. Maybe I'll call the DA's office on Monday.
I think insurance would get involved.
They can.
Like, hey, this is how much it's going to cost to replace one pane, unless you want to replace all of them, which I'm sure you won't do.
Right. Well, I don't know. It's the question of like any good insurance claim is, are we better off just paying for it, or are premiums going up till the end of time? And so, anyway, we're still kind of like thankfully it's not bad enough that it's something that is immediate and dangerous that needs to get done today. But
everybody was safe though.
But so the weird part though is that like. We as a business are not included in part of the charges yet.
Why would you be?
Well, I mean, it's destruction of property. At this point, if I understand Tennessee state law, it's a felony destruction of property.
Oh, you're not listed as like the plaintiff or anything,
right?
Or the defendant,
right? So the victims in this case are my 2 employees that were still there at the time, and my one contractor, karaoke guy, who was still there at the time,
right?
And so it's 3 counts aggravated assault. And then he adds on a violation of parole because apparently he has a robbery conviction from a few years back that he had finished his serving, but he was still on parole for.
I don't think that would be more than aggravated assault. I think you could aggravate assault just for like threatening somebody with a gun, and the victim, believes that that you truthfully, may use it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Actually discharging. That would be another thing. That would be discharging a firearm in city zone or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Unlawful discharge of a firearm. Who knows? Whatever.
Yeah.
That's all on the popo.
So I'm gonna I will follow up with the detective as well as I think I need to follow up with the DA's office and talk to them about what our avenue for what's it called, whatever. Just blanked out on the word. Getting what we can out of this individual to pay for the damages he did to us.
Compensation.
Yeah.
And I guess if they don't go with criminal charges, I think you would have to sue him civilly or something.
Right, which I doubt's worth doing, but it's something we need to figure out. I mean, it's just where we're at, and so. But again, I mean,
you had a lawyer for that,
right? Right, which those are cheap. And add it to the other list of 10,000 things going on right now. Like I had a whole list of shit I was planning on doing on Tuesday, and it got all thrown out the window by trying to put the pieces back together from this thing. But good on KPD and the sheriff's office on. I mean, they were in county before 8 a.m. So the shooting happened at 2:30 or so, and they left immediately. But KPD came out, did what they did on scene. Made some phone calls, and then the sheriff's office went and picked them up and they were in county by 8 a.m. So they were probably in custody by like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning.
How'd they find him so fast? Did they have a name or something to use?
Yeah,
I guess they'd been in there drinking or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, you guys didn't have a credit card receipt to track them?
No, we were talking about that. One of the guys that was there, we've seen them before. They're not regulars, but they've been in a handful of times.
Okay.
And normally pay with cash, but one time he's like, I know we paid credit card one time. I got to go find it. And so I don't know if he was able to figure that out while KPD was there the night of and told him the name, or right. KPD sent the picture off of our camera system that was given to him to, to whomever to run it through their system. Yeah, and they found him and figured it out and found it out real quick.
Good on them for that.
Yeah, indeed. But yeah, it's really interesting the way the jurisdictions of the different departments here that I learned in this process, and so quit complaining on my side, but just to tell like what I learned. The way it works is, so this was 2 o'clock in the morning when it happened. Patrol unit, so just regular beat cops out there doing it, get the call, come to the scene. Do the paperwork, start the investigation, and basically they start a file and it goes on to the detective's desk and they work a normal like 9 to 5-ish kind of thing. But through whatever they figured out in real time, they've had enough to identify and get an arrest warrant. So the patrol officers get the arrest warrant. The arrest warrant goes to the sheriff's office, and then the sheriff's go picks them up. Because KPD,
they had to call the judge and wake a judge up.
I guess. I don't know.
Hey, judge, we got this. And he was like, all right, yeah, put my name on it. Do it. Go get them, boys.
Call me in a couple hours. And go back to sleep. Yeah, so just the way the different departments kind of do have different, very specific roles that they can and can't do, I thought was quite interesting. So essentially, KPD can't arrest on warrant. They can only arrest like on watching you do something.
Even within city limits and everything?
Yeah. It's the
because I guess eventually you'd have to hand them over to the county
right.
to take it to the jail anyway.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I don't know what the reasoning behind that thing is, but that's the way it works, I guess.
Be nice.
So
I try to call county so they can haul these guys away. I'm not putting anybody in the back of my car. I can't do it, sir, guys. I can't actually arrest anybody.
I cannot.
I can detain you.
Yeah, well, I don't know. That's weird because, yeah, whatever. So, yeah, that's that story. And I'm happy that, I don't know, we'll have to, like I said, there's still plenty of work to do and figure out on the topic, but I can, at least say I'm not worried about this person repeating their poor decisions, at least for a little while. So, yeah, so that's that.
Yeah, I figured you had a lot of people that were hitting you up. I was like, I'll get the skinny of it at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was like, I mean, that's the other part too. When the media people were asking me about it, it's like I don't really know what I should or shouldn't say with as far as like legal stuff. I don't want to put anything out there that's going to mess with whatever. And so, I mean, really, like, and I haven't said anything other than the quote on glass repair. I haven't said anything that the original report from KPD, public report from KPD has said. So yeah. It's all out there. But yeah, lots of random people. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. Like, it's like as many times as I've been on the news in the last 2 months, which has been many. Like, I mean,
that's true.
I mean, I was been on a couple times leading up to the ordinance change, and then a couple more times leading right up to into Holaroo. So March, April, May, I've been on the news at least once a month, if not twice or three times each of those months. And then one time in June is not a fun one, and a bunch of people are like, "Hey, man, I saw you on TV." And it's like, you need to get some positivity in your life, people. Quit reading the negative stories.
Don't you remember the good ones I was on? Did you not see?
I mean, yeah. Like, I mean, literally, that's what I said to a couple of them. I was like, I've been on the news like a dozen times this year, and this is the one you see.
Right.
But, you know, I mean, that's the way that's who we are as media consumers. I think that's why we
violence pops out in the mind a little faster.
Yeah, and that's why we get stories like this one that I shared with you from the sheriff's office, who put a press release out, which I thought was pretty interesting. So the Knox County Sheriff's Office, from the desk of Tom Spengler, in their Facebook page and other press release posts, to the citizens of Knox County, on Friday, June 6th, the News Sentinel printed an article about the moving of the juvenile detention center facility under the sheriff's office. We talked about that last week. The article indicated some police reform activists were against any change. In the article, the Sentinel printed that while in the custody of Knox County Sheriff's Office, quote, the man was beaten by jail staffers who did not recognize he was suffering from untreated meningitis. He died the next day, close quote. Their description of the events intentionally misrepresent facts that attributed to the death. Blah, 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 blah. The use of the force, even being characterized as a beating, is false. The insinuation that he passed because of the beating is also false. If you want to know why Americans have lost all trust in the media, false stories like this one's are the reason. Sheriff Tom Spengler. Which had a quite fascinating comment section on
really?
Facebook. Yeah, because I mean it was A or B. It was well, actually there was a C too. I mean, A was you killed that guy. Quit trying to cover it up. Don't get mad at the News Sentinel for covering the truth about you killing that guy. Whole other set was fake news bullshit. Blah 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 blah. And then there was C, which was like, I don't trust either one of you. You both have gone through, a significant period of time of being shady and hiding stuff. And, like one guy went off about how, it's like, what's the, the attempt to make it make sense that if something happens and there's an investigation that needs to, that on you and your department, it's another department, it's the state police that look into you, like you guys aren't all buddies anyway. Kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, it's a valid argument. Facts are on the side. It's better than doing it internally. I agree with that.
I guess that wouldn't fall under like internal affairs. I think that's more just kind of like police on police kind of relations.
Right. Well, it's like state.
No, that could go to an internal affairs invest. I don't know.
Like any officer involved shooting, the TBI automatically investigates.
Right.
And so it's any officer involved shooting where the officer is at one of the shooters in the situation. If an officer discharges his gun in KPD or Knox County Sheriff's Office, TBI does an investigation on it. Yeah,
they get put on paid leave usually unless it's already under very questionable circumstances.
Yeah, and so but it's also like the argument from this person at least is that it's like, well, the thin blue line doesn't shift because you're in a different department. It's still the thin blue line.
In some cases, not
right.
all.
Which, and a bunch of people...
There's definitely animosity between, like KPD and the county. So, it's not like they have a lot of love for each other all the time.
It's still in their best interest to make the uniform look good, or not look bad, at least. It's still in both parties' best interest to do their best to make sure that they, as officers... Depends on who's more short on officers. It's like, if we make them look bad, more people want to come to us if they're looking for a, law enforcement job in the area. Yeah, but that's not. I think they're more. It's more the public conversation than would be people like that they're worried about upsetting.
Well, There's some people that get into it specifically for that. They're like, I want to go out and prove people wrong, show them that cops are good people.
Fair enough, but it was, I don't know, it was an interesting breakdown of watching people react to this. Our good friend Noah was one of them. I think if I recall correctly, he was you both suck, New Sentinel sucks, and you cops suck. So, but I don't know. Like, I mean, to me, and from anecdotal evidence of stuff, like the fact that it was a surprise when Sheriff Spangler came out and did that little public meeting on this case with one of the county commissioners. I mean, it lends to generally the sheriff's office is not the type to talk about it.
It's not just better to kind of get out in front of the story instead of just like, well, they haven't even responded on it. That means they're trying to hide something. It's better to actually put out some kind of statement and at least refute it. And kind of go on from there.
Yeah. So, that was one of the stories of the week that I thought was, it just popped up today. That I thought was kind of worth touching on. And then, so I learned yesterday that the city standard estimate for 1 mile of sidewalk is $1 million. That's crazy. That's just crazy.
It definitely sounds like a lot, but I mean, there's probably a lot that goes into it. Especially if they try to work overnight, try to work third shift. And the third shift, you're paying a premium for those hours. So, you probably wouldn't do that in a neighborhood, third shift, using jackhammers and shit.
No. I mean, again, like, you're not wrong if it's replacing, but the cost, I'm sure the cost is different if you're replacing or doing a new one. Depending on, if you're replacing an entire stretch of sidewalk and you have to tear it all out, that probably costs a little bit more. Or if you're only replacing
I didn't think about that. If they're just straight up replacing some that are all jagged from roots and stuff.
But that's still a lot. I mean, I don't know. I don't. It doesn't make any sense. You could do your driveway, which collectively might be like a half a mile, and you have a crew come out and pour and tear up your old driveway, put new frames up, do the whole thing. And if it's, I don't know. I've got the project that I want to do in the backyard. I've got a ballpark at about $6,000 for a 25 by 40 foot slab. Now, so a 5 foot, so that'd be five 40 feet sidewalks, give or take, if it was a straight line. But it's also a slab, so it's going to be thicker than a standard sidewalk would be. And I'm under $10,000 on that project. And that's what, a quarter mile.
You would think they're buying it in bulk, but at the same time, you only put down so much at a time, so you're still paying per delivery or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's. I want to know what all the other I want to know what the other costs are, other than because I don't think the construction cost is where that cost is at. It can't be.
Yeah.
It
doesn't. Pay a guy to smooth it. Pay another guy that takes the big push broom to.
Right, which is what they're going to do to your driveway too, and your driveway is going to be less than $40,000 or less than $1 million or less than $500,000 if you're only your collective driveway gets to a half a mile of total theoretical concrete. It's not going to be. Yeah, that's crazy talk.
Yeah,
I just don't.
Probably more to it than we're thinking. Maybe it's sidewalk with crosswalks you got to put in.
I mean, the curbs might be a little bit more complicated. I agree with you.
You got to put on if you get a little crosswalk, you got to put the little handicap little bumps in it, to keep a wheelchair from going too fast up and down the little bump. That's not cheap. That's a totally different concrete form right there. You can't just pour that shit and smooth it out.
Yeah, but it's still not that fucking much, man. I promise. It's just, again, I'm very, there's, we could sit here and wax on it all day long, and I don't think you're ever going to convince me that the actual construction part is that much. If they're buying land, maybe, but I still don't really buy that part.
Yeah. So I was saying I'm not really sure how easements work. I thought city or county kind of gets a little bit of right to like, a few feet off of the road or whatever.
Yeah, I think if you're in the city proper, like that's their property to do with as they please. I mean, not completely, but
I think even in the county, because that's usually where a lot of utilities run and stuff. So I think it kind of prevents like the power and the phone company, cable company from having to pay for it. It's like, no, we got 3 feet off the road. That's where we can dig and do as we please.
Yeah,
but you still get taxed for it,
right? You still get the. I wonder if that
you get the taxes though.
I wonder if that. I wonder if that does count on your property tax. That it's if the sidewalks are all old and broken and terrible, if it's cheap, if your
property value,
your property value goes down or is less than,
or if it goes up because you have access to, new sewer line, new power line, new fiber optic cable line.
Yeah,
it's like how much cable's underneath, your 50-foot span or whatever front yard. That's a lot of fiber.
That is a lot of fiber. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a fascinating little snippet.
It is kind of interesting. I saw some story today that our former coach Derek Dooley is considering running for the U.S. Senate in Georgia. That was odd.
That is odd.
There's a couple of football people have gotten into politics.
Yeah, Tommy Tuberville down there in Alabama.
There was Heath Shuler in North Carolina. I think he was in like either state Congress or federal Congress for a term or two. Yeah. Then got into some realty.
Yep. Those are true things.
There was another pedestrian bridge I saw. I don't know if it's the big one right there when you get kind of to the top of the hill of Cumberland. I thought that's what the picture was kind of showing. There's another pedestrian bridge that they put off limits for now due to structural integrity or something.
Nice.
Needing some repairs.
Super nice. Way to go, City of Knoxville.
Yeah, I guess at least they found it in some inspection. Somebody was doing their inspection right, I guess, at least.
Well, it leads them to the need for the need for this
NIL deal stuff.
Yeah, I did see that went through. No, the need for this new sales tax is what I was getting at.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's not a good sell on
it. Because that is one of the things that they say they're going to do with it.
Part of their whole infrastructure update or whatever.
Yeah. But there, more argument on that topic was going down this week. It was interesting. I'm pretty comfortable with my stance on the whole thing. I think I'm right.
Do it. Pull the Band-Aid off.
I'm very curious to see how the city voters react to it. I'm very curious to see how the county commission and mayor's office react to it.
I'm curious to see, I guess, how much it's really kind of put out to public notice that there's actually, for city voters, I guess that's the only thing they have to vote on. Actually encourage more people to show up. Or
oh no, they got five city districts are getting on this ballot.
Okay.
And so
it was the county you were thinking that would be the only
right.
thing.
The county would be it, right? And then District 5, if you're a city voter and you live in District 5, you wouldn't be voting this year, except for if this is on it. Which again, it's a funny little system, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see what the we'll have to wait and see what they do on the topic. Because I don't know. I think it would be a quite easy political move for Mayor Jacobs to just be like, I don't want to raise your taxes. I promise you I wouldn't raise your taxes. But
they're making me do it.
I'm not making it. I'm not raising your taxes. I'm giving you guys the option to if you want to, because this has to be a ballot referendum. So what do you guys think? Go vote on it. He could not have raised your taxes, and he could stand on it and be like, no, I never raised taxes. Now he can't say he never allowed taxes to be raised, but that's a little bit different.
You guys voted on it, all 150 of you
Right.
showed up. Blame it on them.
Yep. It's your fault for not voting, or
blame it on your registered voters.
Right. The couple thousand of you that bothered doing it, this is the decision they made. So, yeah. Anyway, I don't know why. That's just, it's going to be their vote. The first city vote on it is this week. The city council votes on their first reading of it this week, coming up. Again, same argument from the city. Most of them are about to get kicked out. Well, five of 9 are finishing their potential city council candidacy anyway, excluding the mayor. Well, no, the mayor's got 2 more years after this, but
they're going to vote to go ahead with the proposal, or
right? They have basically they're voting on putting it on the ballot.
Gotcha. Okay.
This is
even without too many details being set yet.
Right. Which they're still talking about it. According to the city, they have like $70 million in backlog projects that, this would go to, if they get what they want, which I think they will, is they'll get at least 2 years of this budget, of this extra money before the county catches up. And if they get 2 years of this before the county catches up, that's going to be like $90 million. And so they should get a good chunk of their backlog of work order stuff for speed bumps and sidewalks and park projects and blah, 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 all the different stuff that's on their backlog list. They should be able to get almost all of it knocked out in the 2 years that they're collecting this tax before they have to start splitting it up with Knox County Schools when the county catches on and goes ahead and gets on board. And so they could pull off a pretty substantial, bait and switch, for lack of a better word, if the city voters get on board. So it's an interesting whatever. The East Tennessee Realtors put out a statement, or put out a study this week on they call it a mismatch housing. And so the surveys and whatever, I don't exactly know how they got the data for it, but essentially they found that the majority of people wanting to buy homes in East Tennessee versus the homes available being built are not the same bracketing of housing. Only 17, I think they said 17% over the last 6 months of houses that have been available on the market in East Tennessee have been in the financial range of people who make the same physical footprint's median income. Which the median income for East Tennessee...
They're assuming a lot of people are kind of buying in over their heads to an extent.
Right. Well, the what's available...
should be able to afford.
Right. That's what's available is over their heads. And whether they're taking the leap to go over their heads to get something, or they're not buying and they're going into rentals, or they're doing something different because they can't afford what's available.
Right.
Which basically, I mean, there's a couple curiosities I have. I need to call. Well, Hanson doesn't work for him anymore. He would know what he was talking about if I did ask him, though.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of inferences that I take from it that I don't know if they're true or not, but that infers to me that there's less of these California, New York, Illinois, expensive city livers that are moving down here, because at least the presumption always was, these people moving from California and stuff, they're used to paying $500,000 for a 1,200 square foot house,
right?
And you could absolutely get way more house for $500,000 around here than a 1,200 square foot house.
Yeah.
And so those people would not be the people that I would think would be upset about the average house price being higher. Like the 2,000 square foot house being $400,000, they'd still see that as a step up in house and value. But, if I'm moving from my house to a different house in town, I'm not going to be able to get the same house for the value that I'm going to get out of my house.
I worked with a guy probably 10, 15 years ago, moved, I think, from New Jersey, It's kind of that same thing where he was talking about the house he was in compared to for the same price when he moved it down here was, like a third to like, or a good 50% to 75% bigger with the same price.
Yeah. Which, I mean, which that's all well and good. I mean, and I think the question is, to me, is the, property tax is property tax. You come down here and you buy a house. The question I have in all this is that are we generating more tax revenue in the state off of these people? If you're coming in from California, buying a big ass house, what are you working? What's your work? Is this like that, I don't even know if it's real kind of, remote work thing that everybody talks about all the time,
right?
Where you're still doing the job you had in California. You're just doing it virtually from home.
Do you still have to pay the California taxes because your business is based there or your employer is based there?
Yeah, right. And and if you do, that's neither here nor there. But is that all that money you're making for your job? Is it coming here, and are you spending it here?
Right.
And I think you would be. Like if I'm getting paid, $200,000 a year for some programming job. But I think the other thing that's a little bit more amorphous in it is that part of what's driving up regular item prices locally is people that are used to paying more for groceries or used to paying more for their Starbucks or whatever are increasing the demand on these places because we have more people in here, but they're also not as aggressive of a consumer saying, like I'm used to paying $12 for a latte instead of $12 for a latte. Are you fucking crazy? I'm not buying that and leave it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would think less on that.
I don't know. I think there's pressures.
Is that presuming that these retail places have raised their prices and thinking that these out-of-towners that are used to higher prices are...
I don't know about that. I mean, you're just raising your prices because that's what the market's pushing you to do, because your demand is up, because your cost of goods is up, because all these different parts and pieces are up. And if you can keep raising the prices because your inputs are changing and your consumers aren't affected by it, then you keep raising the prices until there's, it's the supply and demand game. You keep raising prices. It's what they call it. There's a technical term. It's to get pricing, I believe is what it's called. Quote, get pricing, close quote. Is that you set the pricing as high as you can get it.
Right.
Like that's a business school strategy thing that you do. It's like, if I put it at $10, can I sell it? If I put it at $20, can I still sell it? How many I do, and then it changes a bunch of other math. If if people are comfortable, if 20 people are comfortable paying $20 for it and 15 are comfortable paying it 10, I'm making more money off of, or other way. If 10 people are paying 20 and 15 are paying 10, I'm making more money off of 10 people paying 20 than I am 15 people paying 10 or whatever the math was.
I mean, you probably know better, but I would think, if you didn't have a rise in, operating costs, the supplies you want to buy or whatever, that if you just had a rise in demand, I wouldn't think too many retailers would automatically be, kind of licking their chops.
Well, I mean,
we can raise prices because we've gotten busier.
I would think that
and obviously people love this and they want it. Like we can jack up the price a little bit.
I mean, but I think that's one of the specific differences in like a mom and pop / local business owner versus, big corporate entities that they're just going off the spreadsheet.
Yeah, maybe.
Like if I'm in the corporate offices somewhere of Starbucks and, I'm like, man, we're really moving a lot more people through the door at this set of locations in this one area of the country. Maybe we need to raise prices there.
I was concerned. I don't know. I think it was some big box store that people were concerned with their kind of switch to digital price tags, basically. That they were worried that they would be more easily kind of messed with from time to time, or maybe do surge pricing versus someone having to go and like re-skew everything and put new price tags up. They could more easily just like adjust it on the fly, maybe without people noticing as much.
I mean, that is the intent of digital price tags, is because the the stickers aren't particularly expensive, but the labor to place them all, to peel and place them all, is pretty. It gets up there pretty quick. I mean, hell, from my experience in the beer distribution game, major grocery stores don't do it themselves. The beer companies do it as a cooperative. It's really kind of a funny thing.
Like, I think that would be kind of done on the back end if you had a new beer. You know, basically you're scanning that UPN or whatever.
If it's just one here, one there, or whatever, that's how they do it. But if it's a whole reset, that's what they call it. They reset the aisle.
Yeah,
and they move everything around. They print out the planograms, and this one goes here and that one goes there. It's a really like super OCD thing that somebody gets to spend a lot of time. Somebody in the company gets to set that part up, but then they send that to usually it's Cherokee. They send that to Cherokee, and then one of the guys at Cherokee calls around to all the other distributors and says, "Hey, we're doing resets at Kroger's this week. We're going to be at this one at this time, this one at that one, this one at that time." And all the distribution companies send a couple of people to help do the job.
Yeah.
So they go in there, they pull everything off the shelves, they clean the shelves, they reset the shelves, and then they load everything back in the new order, and then put the price tags up and strip it and do all and reset the whole thing. But other aisles are going to be, that's your own staff doing it. And I mean, usually when I did a reset, there were like a dozen of us. And even at like standard Kroger clerk rates, 10 people at what, $15 an hour, probably $12 an hour.
Yeah.
Spending 4 hours on a thing, that adds up pretty quick. As compared to having this digital thing where you just click a button on the computer in the back, which is the same computer that the person reset the shelves with and all the other stuff, and now your price tags are updated. And especially when you want to do specials and stuff, I get it. I mean, I see the concern from what you're talking about, from the people being worried about them. The shelf tag said it was $15, and then you walk back there and it says 20 now, but it said 15 when you were back there earlier.
Not necessarily like that immediately. I guess with it just being like easier to change prices, on a day-to-day basis. Maybe not within a day, but from one day to the next.
Right. Which I don't
like, here comes Friday, and they're calling for maybe snow on Sunday, so we can go click, click, click. Milk and bread. Everyone wants it.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I'd say nowadays it's even easier to kind of write it off. It's like, our operating costs have gone up, or our supply costs have gone up, which is true to an extent, but nobody really knows what kind of margins you're playing with. But.
Right, but at the same time, it'd be like if that was your game, and like if it snows, if it's supposed to snow, kind of thing. You could do that manually quickly enough. Like you could do that overnight on Thursday night, and have Friday, Saturday with a weird eggs, milk, and bread markup. Because you got a snowstorm coming. That wouldn't be super hard to do. The concerning part would be that you can do the whole store, that you go in there today, and then you go back to the next day, and it's, everything went up 10% overnight.
Yeah, just add 50 cents to everything across the board.
Right. Right, and that like overnight, everything just went up a percentage or a fixed number or whatever it is. Like I can see how that. I don't know. Like I get it from the business perspective, just to save on labor, just to save on printing things all the time, just to be able to get things updated accurately. Because it's not on. It's what it's an issue that I deal with on a semi-regular basis. Is that like my pricing changes from I get the same thing from different vendors. Different vendors charge different amounts to me. I don't charge a different amount to the customer.
Yeah.
Would I want to, if I get it from this supplier, it's $27. If I get it from that one, it's $25. Would I want to change that in my system? Not out of laziness. I don't want to do that to my customers. I'm more responsive to my customers in that way, maybe, than a Kroger or a big grocery store might be. But I would say, like, I could see that. I guess I don't have the luxury as a grocery store of being as needed as they are.
Sure.
Which is why I guess I'm having a hard time rationalizing this. Because to me, it'd be a beautiful thing if I had a little system where I could sit. I mean, it'd be what would be best for me is that I could be in my computer system. I can update pricing. The price tags update with that. It's not a separate operation. And so, in real time, if I add a new item and I give it shelf space A2, that tag at shelf space A2 updates to that new item and its price. That would be an awesome thing to have. That'd be a super awesome thing to have. I really want that now. Can you find me one?
I wouldn't even know where to begin to start looking.
Right.
I'm sure it's out there somewhere.
They're probably multi-million-dollar systems, so that's out of my price range. So one of the things I'm working on in this transition, speaking of work stuff for me, I think we talked about it last week, the hemp license. If I want to get a distributor's hemp license, the new ABC version of it is I believe I was told at least it's $5,000 license and a $750,000 bond that I would have to do it, and a 10,000 square foot warehouse or something like that, which is really cost prohibitive to even think about. But as I was thinking about it further this week, it's still in the Department of Ag right now. That Department of Ag license is only $1,000, and it's good till July of next year. So I started doing an application for with Department of Ag, and going through the thing, and I actually have my Department of Ag hemp distribution permit now, pending the Tennessee Department of Health and Safety approving my warehouse space. And it's why does the health department need to get involved in this? Because my intent, at least, the way they say the law is written, the way they're explaining it to me, is that you basically have to have kitchen status for your warehouse. So, like the food distributors in town, the big Cisco place right there off of 275, Reinhardt down near the airport off topside there. They have their big food warehouses, and they have a standard that they have to hit because they have food in a warehouse.
Right.
And they're basically saying I have to hit that standard. Like with refrigeration and, like everything's got to be stainless steel. And if you're mounting something on the wall, you have to caulk between the shelf and the wall. So there's no space. There's no way to get anything in between the shelf and the wall and stuff like that. And it's like,
I heard that.
And it's like, okay, like I get that. But I'm not producing an edible. It's all finished product that I'm dealing with. I'm not touching anything. There'll be no raw product in my room. It's all going to be in its finished packaging.
Is everything shelf stable?
Yes.
Or I guess they would have to.
I mean, that's my intent. Because the way the Department of Ag has it is production and distribution are the same license. And so basically I have to get a production license. And I got to figure out if that's something that's even a possibility for us to get us into next year, to let us be the wholesaler of a certain set of items that currently is not available from the liquor distributors that are already getting into the game. They're going to be gobbling them up, I'm sure, and they might gobble up the ones that I want. But, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to keep some sort of strategic advantage here, and the one advantage that I can think of is having stuff that other people don't have.
Right.
That and getting, a little bit of extra funding from wholesaling some products, from importing some products, and then wholesaling that to other companies around the state.
Have they said if they're going to limit the amount of, licenses from the ABC?
No, they're not. It's not a number. It's limited by. It's a financial limitation that's written into it. I mean, it's $1 million process, is what it looks like. I mean, a 10,000 square foot facility, you have to be to get a 10,000 square foot facility that's to work in is going to be, if you're not buying it, it's going to be oodles in rent.
Right.
$75,000 in a bond, $5,000 in a license. So you're at $80,000 before you're even paying rent on a building. And then utilities.
Don't put anything in it.
Right. Utilities, I'm not even getting to the product part, but, a year of utilities and rent on a 10,000 square foot storage space is a lot of money. And so to do the math on how much you would have to move through there just to break even is ungodly. I mean, that's just, I don't even know how to begin. And so, but that's what I'm looking at. I'm trying to figure it out.
People tend to go with a lot of backers.
Yeah, well, that, and I'm going to sit there. I'm going to bother Briggs and Massey about it constantly and be like, why do I need a big facility? Why do I have to be a bulk distributor to be able to be a distributor? Why can't I be a craft distributor and do small numbers? Why do I need to do, I mean, I figure at ballpark I'd probably have to do like $10 million a year in wholesale sales to break even on what I'm guessing it's going to cost me to get through a year. That's a whole lot of stuff. And the only way you can do that is to have a whole bunch of brands and a whole bunch of stuff, and then you'd have to spend a whole bunch of money on getting out and getting into shops and
it's about to hit the ground running, basically.
Putting a sales network together. I mean, it's, again, like for all accounts that I've heard of and talking to the hemp people that I talk to, it's like this was written to just automatically roll it into the liquor distributors that already exist.
Yeah.
They want it to be difficult for new distributors to pop up because the current ones don't want to have to compete, which, again, who does that help? Not you, the consumer, not me, the retailer.
It's ABC.
Right. Liquor stores and liquor distributors are who's winning.
So it also makes it easier on ABC. The one you talk to, we're like, yeah, we're not looking forward to this either. It's going to be so much more work.
Less people to track, less easier to track, less people for sure. And so we'll see. I'm going to keep working on pegging away at that. And then I also looked into, because the nicotine ban is coming up, not ban, but the nicotine law is coming into effect here in July. The new tax is supposed to start getting collected in July, but that's also a wholesale tax. You do not have to have a local distributor, but the distributor has to register with the state of Tennessee. So I've been talking to some of my guys out in California and be like, hey, this is what I'm seeing. You guys are going to have to register with this, with the Tennessee Department of Tobacco or whatever, and then register a list of products that you're selling into the state, and then anytime you sell stuff into the state, you're going to have to collect the tax from me or other retailers, and then submit that to the state monthly. So I'm also looking into
getting from any of those. They're like, wait, we got to do what?
I'm also looking into getting a tobacco wholesale permit.
No,
which that one is fun because that one has to be a separate company. So I'm gonna have to spin up a new company if I do that.
Goody.
Yeah, but so what I'm trying to do is, again, it's the same issue. The same issue to me, that the number one thing that's coming out of both of these laws that are coming into effect is it's taking all of the specificity out of the industry, any sort of niche that any of the vape shops have created over time. It's throwing that out the window. You can sell what's available, what the state says is available, and that's it. And so you've got to figure out people in the state that are going to be able to sell you product to get you on your shelf, and then go from there. And so if you don't have somebody locally that's willing to distribute a product, you can find all the products you want. But if you don't have somebody that's willing to go through the process with Tennessee to get that product on the shelves here, you can't have that product. And so my intent is to try to figure out how to be that guy and be like, hey, you got a product in Michigan and you want to sell it into Tennessee. You don't have a bunch of legwork. That's fine. We'll get you going. We'll you do the work of finding people that want to buy it, and I'll do the work of getting it into Tennessee and selling it to those people.
We'll give you the form. You just fill it out.
Yeah, basically. I mean, for at some level, like there's like if you're some of my bigger distributors, like it would be a job. Like I would think that's kind of what I'm pitching at one of my guys that I buy a lot of stuff from. I'm like, hey, just let's work out some pricing stuff here, and I'll save you from hiring somebody for Tennessee, because you're going to have to hire somebody to go through to manage the paperwork that you're going to have to for Tennessee. That's my guess. Because each individual item has to be registered, like by NIC level. So like our house juice is one of them. That's another one. Like, is my house juice manufacturer going to register with the state? Probably not. And so I can't get my juice unless I register my juice with the state, and I'm the importer, and then I have to pay the tax on the import.
Just more legwork on your end.
Yeah, and so the hope to me is the more legwork on my end is the more survivable we become. Because that's my concern in this whole thing, is that we're not going to survive this. End of the day, we might just be a bar, and I might just have one bar in Central, and I close everything else down because there's no, like, it's just it might become unfunctional over time.
Yeah.
That's a conversation that Max and I need to have in the next couple months. It's a real conversation. Like, we need to really dig in and run projections on how much we're going to lose. Are we going to get any of that back? As people accept the fact that they can't buy flower and vape anymore, are they going to buy more edibles, or are they just going to go back to their black market guy? I'm going to guess the latter. Are we going to be able to compete long term with the liquor stores picking up almost all the edibles that we carry? Like, so is our strategic game to get as much as we can and have the best selection so that you can come here and you can get everything? Or is it going to do what a lot of things do and narrow down to the top 20, and then you can just go to the liquor store and get the same thing I'm selling you for cheaper because the liquor store doesn't have the same margin need as I do?
There was a story on like the hemp side of it. There was a Tennessee store. I guess he was talking about moving to North Carolina. He was like hoping to still like, help out the people in Tennessee. And I'm like, whoa. I was like, I don't think you're supposed to say that out loud.
I mean, it's not, if he is doing business in North Carolina and Tennessee residents come, he's not obliged to not sell to them.
That's true. He warns them like, use this one in North Carolina. Don't take it back. I warned you. Okay.
Right. I mean, he doesn't. I mean, from legally, he didn't have to even say that. It's just like, this is a legal product where you are buying it, and that's that.
True.
Yeah. And I mean, that's another one that like Kentucky's got a different set of stuff on nicotine on vape products. They have like a pretty broad flavor ban, but they are a little looser on hemp products, and so that's another thing that we've looked into is putting at least a store in Corbin or whatever right across the border, because we have a lot of customers that come down to our Emory store from Kentucky, like coming to see us and then doing some other stuff while they're in town.
Right.
And so if I don't know, I'm having a hard time. I have a hard enough time keeping Tennessee law straight. I don't know if I want to try to figure out Kentucky law too.
That's true.
But I got to.
Well, you guys are a Commonwealth. Fuck.
Yeah, I got to figure something out because I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know what January is going to look like for me personally. So if you want to sponsor this podcast, almostinagreement@gmail.com. I don't know, like $5,000 an ad read, nothing crazy.
Not crazy. I'm sure there'll be some kind of like legal qualm that'll push it back, but that's just a guess.
I mean, I don't know. There's apparently some federal bill floating around that's going to try to fix the Obama era farm bill, and do a federal THCA ban.
Oh damn!
And so that's would solve that thing anyway. So we're like, I don't know. I don't know. We've got to come 2026. Things might get interesting politically across the board. I mean, I think I don't know. I have a hard time thinking the Dems aren't going to run away with this midterm coming up federally.
Possible. I'd say kind of what's going on and like leading up to it. I guess it's more so like next year, basically, or end of this year into next year.
There's time. There's time for Trump to right the ship here, but at this point,
I mean, people's memories aren't that long. They won't really remember like, 2 years ago, blah blah blah.
Yeah, but he promised to get us out of both these things in Europe and the Middle East, and they're going as strong as ever. What, Ukraine did a pretty major offensive into Russia this week, like a pretty big drone attack
this week,
or maybe last week. I don't know.
Yeah.
And like that's still popping off regularly, and this Gaza thing's still popping off regularly, and I'm not sure if I'm not sure if Trump's getting us closer to peace with Iran or closer to outright war with Iran. That one goes back and forth every time I hear anybody talk about it.
Yeah, well, I think there's kind of been conflicting sides of it. I think us and Russia have like publicly said like, we don't think Iran should have any enriched uranium or whatever.
Right, but what the Iranians' red line is, we're doing a civilian program. We're going to do nuclear power in this country, whether you like it or not.
One of the byproducts,
right? And so,
they weren't against the deal, but they weren't exactly backing the deal yet. But they were still open-minded, I guess, to changes or something. I can't remember exactly what their wording was.
Yeah,
I think it was the German chancellor was sitting down with Trump, and apparently he was quoted as saying between like Russia and Ukraine, they were. You kind of let them fight it out like kids before we try to separate them or something.
Trump did, or the chancellor did?
Trump did. The chancellor was like, no, he's like, this kind of needs to end, sooner than later, basically.
Right, which is what Trump told us he was going to get done.
Side of like, well, let's let him fight it out for a little while longer.
Day one is what he promised us on the campaign trail.
I think he also said that he was probably going to fix it before he even got inaugurated.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like, once I'm elected, I'm going to tell Putin to cut it out. Hey, Vladimir, just cut it out, man.
Right, but if the if the economy doesn't settle down and things start getting more normal, if these war things don't settle down, if
it depends on how close we are to any kind of like trade deals. That's the thing. I think they've kind of floated out a couple things. It's like, oh, we've kind of agreed to this, and it's like that's not a trade deal. You're still like just negotiating. There's like nothing set in stone yet.
Yeah, and I don't foresee anything settling down. I think we're going to be where we are or worse come a year plus from now when we're in full campaign cycle for this midterm, and I have a hard time. There are certainly plenty of hardcore Trumpers, and then hardcore enough Republicans that have to that will pinch their nose and vote for Trump because they can't vote for a Democrat. But I still think anywhere that's got any sort of closeness is got a real any purple district is going to be blue. There's no way. I can't imagine what could happen that could change that unless we have a huge economic turnaround.
See what happens with the big bill. I don't know if there's any kind of timeline on this. If it's kind of like our state house, to where if it doesn't get passed by like the end of the session, they have to reintroduce it again or whatever. Which I guess it already initially passed the House. I think there's some pushback in the Senate.
Right.
I think obviously if they change it, it's got to go back to the House to do the whole reconciliation or whatever.
Yeah.
And with as many of points that are in it, it could get into the mud of changing so many things. So I think there were some people that were trying to split it up into different bills to make it easier to pass. I think there was more of a desire, like, let's have it to do all in one. We don't really realize what all we're voting for.
Right.
So I've seen a couple stories about like, this is in it too, and if it passes, like this is a part of it too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I hate omnibus bills. I think there should be a bill that makes omnibus bills illegal. Yeah. I think it's laziness, it's politics, it's not governance. It's just this political thing where, well, you have to vote for this because I included this thing, and if you vote against this, then I get to run a candidate against you that says you voted against this thing. And it's like, well, separate them out because I would vote for that. I'm not voting for this whole thing.
Yeah, I want to say like the Congressional Budget Office. I think that's who the CBO is. Put out a couple different numbers. Like one of them was like it's like a couple $1 trillion that could be made off the tariffs in the next 10 years or whatever. But that's if the tariffs remained as they sit right now, which they're like higher than they've ever been in decades or whatever.
And
then there was another part of it that like this new bill would cost $2 trillion or whatever. It would add $2 trillion to the deficit.
Right. And if the point of the tariffs, well, the question is the point of the tariffs to make money or is it to bring manufacturing back? If the point of the tariffs is to raise money, then okay, fine. But if it's to bring manufacturing back, then you're going to lose that income over time. And they didn't. Do you think they factored that into the math?
Yeah.
Because if we're making the silicon chips in Ohio instead of importing them from China and Taiwan or whatever, then
I doubt it, because what I've heard, like we don't have the infrastructure for any of that. The one thing we were already
in 10 years we might get there, or in 5 years we might start getting there. But it's still, the point is, if we start manufacturing the things, then we don't get the tariff income because we're not importing it anymore. And so that figure's not even logical. I mean, it's not even logical on the two items. Is that the tariffs haven't been consistent since he took office. They change every week or two. Anyway, I think one of the tariffs that they mentioned in that study or that report or whatever they put out had changed since they started doing the math. And they were already far enough into the math that they ran it anyway.
Yeah, because there's been a couple, and it's like, okay, we've implemented, but now we put like a 90-day pause in it, and it's a question of like, will they be reinstated or whatever?
Right. And so it's just such a nothing burger. The point being is, it's just a nothing burger of a statement. It's like, well, if we leave these here as they are for 10 years, it's like, well, they haven't been as they are for 10 days. Why would we expect for a second that they would be that way for 10 years?
Right.
You know,
which I think kind of like hurts anyone trying to like make deals and stuff. And it's like, well, you may change your mind again next month.
Right. Exactly. I
mean, invest. I mean, they keep talking about all this investments. They've had, people calling to, we've had, this amount of billions of dollars that have been pledged in investments. I think we'd have a lot more if it wasn't so like up and down, because people want to invest. They're looking at long term. It's like, is this going to be stable for the next 5, 10, 20 years?
Yeah.
For me to invest, $1 trillion into whatever.
Yeah, I don't understand why we need like Saudi investments in the first place, though. Like, what do we need?
Because they're rich. They got money.
Yeah, but what do we need them to invest? What are they investing in? Manufacturing things here? What do the Saudis make? Or are they just going to invest in something we can make here already?
I don't know, they're just like going to be not really like silent investors. We're just investors in American industries that buying into buying a percentage of this company or buying a percentage of.
No, I get what you're saying. I would say like, what long term, what does that do to the actual income federally? If a bunch of the money, like if you're an investor getting paid from, I don't know, like I invest $1 million in Ford or whatever, and I get a dividend and some other kickbacks for being an investor over time, and I sell stuff and I get more money because that's what I'm investing in it because I'm going to make something off of it, right? That's the point. When I start making something off of it and I'm a foreign investor, do I get taxed? Does the federal government get tax income off of me? Because I made that money technically in the United States, or how's that work?
It depends on where you store it.
I mean, right. Most of these guys are smart enough that they don't store it anywhere that it's going to get taxed. They're
right. It's under a whole chain of different companies.
But I question. I don't know. Like I have no real insight on this other than I question the idea of long-term domestic value in foreign investment. I mean, hell, like what are the
saves the? We wouldn't make money on, I guess, much of return on it, but I guess it saves the government from having to like either do subsidies or directly, invest in.
Yeah, I guess.
Or basically giving out loans to companies. That's how I see some investments are basically kind of like not necessarily short term, but semi-loans. It's like, hey, I want to do this. I don't have money to do this. Will you invest in it? Get a percentage of it. Because I don't have enough money to do it myself, but if you want to buy a little piece of this, it would help both of us out or whatever.
Yeah.
As far as, where the proceeds kind of go from that, I don't really know how that works out.
Yeah, it's good.
But, I guess something's better than nothing. You can actually start up a company versus that company never starting to begin with without said investors. Finance, bitches.
Not finance. That's just entrepreneurship.
Well, sorry, finance is.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What else is
going on? Shit's so crazy?
Why shit's so crazy?
I think it's the name of a Reggie Watts album.
Oh, is it? I was thinking it was a Key and Peele sketch. I assumed it was a Key and Peele sketch. I don't know. What else is going on?
Let's see here. I saw some other kind of interesting local story. Maybe not. Maybe there's something like a formal football player, but I didn't quite get what that was getting on about. Oh, have you heard about the zebra that's loose in is it Rutherford County? That's like
I did. I think I saw last night that it was it had been captured.
Oh, had it? Okay. I
saw
today. Like they had like a helicopter thing. Apparently, it's been on the loose for like 2 weeks, and you can't catch the damn thing.
Yeah.
I think I saw a story. There was like some donut shop that was doing striped donuts and kind of as a joke, and I don't think it was actually raising money for anything. But apparently, it's somebody's pet. I think somebody was telling me. I thought maybe it got out of like some kind of like local refuge or petting zoo or something like that.
Yeah. So last night yesterday at 10:30 a.m. Missing zebra found safe in Rutherford County after 6 days on the loose. That was the headline.
Was that it? Yeah. So I thought one of the stories talked about like its companion or something had already been caught. So I don't know if it had like a fellow zebra that it was like its friend and they'd already caught it.
Yeah, maybe. I did also get a headline was Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce were spotted at a wedding in Knoxville.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Who the heck will they know that's getting married here? I wonder.
She's out of Nashville, so.
Is she based out of Nashville?
Yeah, she's been in Nashville for a long time since she. I think she moved to Nashville to find fame and did. And so, her entire career, she's been from Nashville.
Let's see here. And Nashville News had a story from yesterday that said it was spotted. They were still asking people to stay out of the area.
Huh.
So I guess its name is Ed. So Ed isn't spooked.
Don't scare the zebra, people. It's so funny.
Wait, what? Zebra on the loose? What the fuck?
Yeah, so is it property of a zoo locally, or is it a personal pet? I'm still wondering.
I'm still not sure. Somebody told me that it was somebody's pet, but I haven't quite verified that.
Yeah. Well, that is a fun story. Could have been your news of the weird this week. Oh well. What else is going on? I'm trying to think. I don't know. I'm sure there was a bunch of stuff that I missed because my brain went real blank early this week.
Any major local stories?
We are actively, Holaroo is actively trying to commission a mural for the neighborhood. We're excited about that. It's going to be fun.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So if you're a mural artist, almostagreement@gmail.com, hit me up and we'll talk about it. It's the I think the artist is less of an issue than the wall we want to use. We have a couple options, but the wall we really want to use and that owner and getting them on board and trying to get the neighborhood and the problem with trying to do things like this is we're trying to get a lot of people on board, but then when you get a lot of people on board, a lot of people have a lot of ideas, and then it becomes this balance of trying to get a singular idea to the artist to then do a thing that everybody will be happy with. And so,
right.
I promised myself I would not get into politics, and I have failed miserably.
You didn't get too far into it.
I mean, this is it's a different version of politics, but it is. It's trying to work, a bunch of people to work together who have. I mean, it's governance in general. I'm trying to get a group of people who have similar interests, but don't have time, energy, or clarity to see how the interests align to work together for an end goal that isn't as direct as what they do in their day-to-day life. I mean, that's what doing a neighborhood planning group and that kind of stuff has always been. So that's why, 20 people said yes, and then 3 people did all the work when we do Holler.
Too many chiefs, not enough Indians.
Yeah, pretty much. Nobody wants to do the legwork part, which is what I do, and so
narrow it down, do silent voting or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, if I could just get people willing to vote, that's it's the same as regular elections. If you get down to it, it's just trying to get people involved on all, trying to get people involved consistently so that they can feel like they're involved.
General polling, kind of talk to the artist or whatever, hey, what do you specialize in? What are you good at? What are your thoughts? Well, all right, give me 3 ideas and take those 3 ideas.
Right. I'm a believer in
the collective.
I'm a believer in you're the artist. Here's some parameters, but you're the artist. Go to town. It's got to be G-rated. We can't have
some artists like that. Some artists, want some kind of direction.
It's got to be
otherwise,
PG.
I'm going to have to do 5 different drafts, and I'm going to charge you for each one.
It's going to be PG. It's got to include Rusty the dog, and then outside of that, whatever floats your boat. I don't know.
At least one soapbox car.
Right. That's Rusty the racer and his soapbox
with some flames on it. And you got to put lines behind it like it's moving somewhere.
Right. You got to make it.
Oh, and if you can make it look 3D, that'd be even badass.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I've seen a couple of those, and they look fucking awesome. I don't know how the fuck they do it. It's
that
all
would be super fun. I like that. I'm
but
stealing that idea. I'm going to take that. We're going to see if we can do it so it looks like there's a big hole in the wall.
That'd be cool. I can think about that.
Yeah.
That was my idea. That's all you. I just recommended 3D.
I will credit you with that it looks like the car is coming out of the wall, not just sitting on top on it.
Sweet. No, I'll take a crisp Andrew Jackson.
I don't even know if I got any of those. I had to pay. I dropped my last one on some mediocre pancakes this morning. Yeah, whatever. It's a fundraiser for the kids.
I did one of those once. Yeah, they're okay. We did ours at like a TGI Fridays or Chili's or something. I'm not even sure how much of a flat top they really had. I don't even know who was cooking them either. I don't know if it was some of the kids that were back there because that was for Cub Scouts, I think, at the time.
Yeah, this one was the Aubrey's there on Paper Mill, and 3 of their cooks were like Burleson paid, or well, Aubrey's had a handful of staff paid work at doing the real work, and the kids were just running around delivering food. Hold tight 1 sec. Sorry, the dog was acting like there was somebody at the door. I got the headphones on. I can't hear the door.
I hear something.
Yeah. I mean, he's got. I'm usually pretty good at understanding what he's trying to say, or at least generally what he's trying to say, but I missed it on that one.
Hey, there's somebody walking around up front. Hey, do you see this? Hey.
It's been weird, man. It was rainy and gross this morning, and then it got sunny, and then it got overcast, and now it got sunny again, and then it's supposed to storm here in like 30 minutes. It's been quite a 48-hour period. We got the pool full. Pool's up and running.
Nice.
Got a big hole in one of the pump tubes, so I had to order a new hose.
Nice. How long did you have to run the hose in there to fill her up?
2 full days. I'm gonna call KUB tomorrow or Monday and let them know.
I'm surprised they didn't call you. I think last time I had a little spigot that was leaking. I got like the automated message within like 12 hours. They're like, we're seeing an unusual amount or uncommon amount.
Right.
Of,
well, they say they do it automatically.
Water running.
They say they say they do it automatically every summer. They will do if they see a big spike, they'll assume it's for either garden or pool project, and they will give you credit for it. Give you credit for the wastewater portion of it, which is huge. Because
some people using like the fire department to somehow help fill it up. I don't know if they tie into a fire hydrant. I wouldn't think they would show up with like a giant water truck, but somehow you can have like the fireman the fire department be a kind of like middle person to fill it up faster. But yeah. You would think there's some kind of excessive cost for that.
Yeah, they're going to charge you for the water. Like I know,
if you want 50 gallons a second, it's going to cost you.
Well, when I was talking to the city, and it's still something I would love to try, but I was talking to the city about doing the giant water slide down the street thing. They were talking about the last time we had somebody that did that in town and all the different parts and pieces, and it didn't go well. And they're always trying to talk you out of doing fun stuff, but that they
way to like recycle the water somehow.
Well, I mean that's right. The way it's like you get the slide and you rent a pump, and you have a hose that sits down in the basin in the bottom that sucks water out and pumps it back up to the top, but the fire department will come out. Fire department comes out and hooks up a meter basically to a fire hydrant.
Oh.
And then you turn it on, you do what you need with it, and then that meter reading gets reported to KUB, and then KUB will send you a bill for that water usage.
Maybe that's the KUB man in the middle situation people were referencing.
Yeah, I'm sure it's the same thing. It's just you could fill up your pool in like a couple hours instead of 2 days, like I did. Because I'm sure they have a meter version that's the big full like 4-inch hose version,
right?
Where the way the city was describing it to me, it was the meter was the reduction valve, so it reduced it from the 4-inch to the standard hose size, and then they put the meter on it, and then you go. So I don't know, whatever. I'd still love to do it. It's just that's a $40,000 thing. I see. I don't know what I need. I need a lottery ticket or two, I guess. I don't know.
Or two.
I got too many fun projects because I need to get back on my Halloween Guinness Book of World Record thing too. That one's kind of fallen off my to-do list.
Still got a little time.
I don't. That's the thing. Is like if we're gonna do it, I need to do it. Like if we're gonna do it, I need to make the decision needs to be made. I need to figure out how I'm gonna finance it because Guinness Book of World Records is at least $10,000. Just to get them involved. 16's their normal price, and I'm thinking I might be able to weasel them down a little bit, but it ain't gonna be a ton.
The British don't really like us right now. I think. I don't know.
Might be the Irish, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I guess they're not a part of the UK.
And the Irish hate the British, so if the British don't like us, then they like us more. I don't know.
That's true.
Whatever it is, they get paid. They charge a significant sum for their services. That's the moral of that story. Which I kind of get.
Come all the way there, and you want a discount?
Which I mean, I kind of get it, because if it was just free and they did it, they would be doing it all the time, and they would be doing it for every stupid little thing. And,
I had this cool idea,
right? And so to put some sort, and to be fair, it's got value. Like, I don't want to do it if we're not going to do it for a world record. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, the whole sales pitch for me when I go out and try to get people to get involved as being trunk or treaters as part of my thing, as well as the immediate marketing campaign is help us set a Guinness Book of World Records record. Help us set the world record. Help us set the world record. Well, if I don't have Guinness involved, we're not officially setting the world record, because they're the ones who certify the world record. And
certifies other random country records. Because you have different states that have here's the biggest artificial ear of corn in the U.S. and largest.
Yeah, but I don't know who certifies that. I don't know if it's.
That's what I'm saying.
I think it's just
somebody calls it, or maybe you just get to claim it.
Right. There's a town in Oregon, I think, who claims the largest trunk or treat.
Yeah.
But they don't. It's not certified by anybody, and so that's the whole thing. I mean, it's the same thing as what's the stupid thing? Every time, every car wins what's the car award?
The J.D. Power, and stuff like that.
Yeah, J.D. Power is just J.D. Power is just I don't know what they actually do, other than give awards out, and the awards
give out awards.
But the awards mean something because they have a reputation of, if they give an award to something, it fits some sort of threshold for them to give the award. It's like they don't just give the award because they paid for it.
It's not just J.D. Power; it's J.D. Power and Associates.
You're right. Yeah. Those associates have name recognition that they under associates.
We just don't want to be named,
right?
And the name would be super long.
I would say it like that, but that's there's value there's value in that stamp, and so there is value in the stamp of Guinness World Record. Whether we'd make it in the book or we'd make it at least onto their website, and so you go on the website and you're bored, so it becomes a pub trivia question. Somebody's doing pub trivia is like, which city has the Guinness Book of World Records for the largest trunk or treat festival? And then that would be the official answer, because that's the one that's in the book. And so there's value to it. I get that. There's value to it. There is need for them to narrow down the pool, because every Tom, Dick, and Harry probably comes to them all the time. Because that's what, again, same experience that I had when I first started with special events. Their first answer to everything is no, and then when you're persistent with them and show them that you have intent to really try to do this and do it right, they start getting more useful working with them. The lady that I've been talking to with Guinness started off with, it's $16,000. You have to hit this threshold. Do you still want to do it? And then I was like, well, that's a lot of money. I'm not sure. That does change my calculations a lot. But yeah. I really want to do this. And so it went from being, very arm's length, leave us alone, we don't want to deal with you, to, okay, if you're serious about this, here's how this works, here's what we need to do, here's what this, and this goes. And I understand.
Probably gauging your level of seriousness in it. Right. Is this some drunken idea you came up with?
Yes, but it doesn't mean I still don't want to do it. But that's that's the long and short of it. And it's not a. I don't think it should be a hard. It's gonna be it's gonna be hard to coordinate, but I don't think it should be hard. I got 20 churches within 2 miles of the holler. If I can get each of those churches to give me 10, that puts me at 200. Just give me 10 volunteers from your church. Because the other thing I've been thinking about, too, it's because this is the problem I have with derby drivers, and this is the problem I have with other people that they're like, everybody says, yes, that's awesome, I want to do that. But how do you turn that, yes, that's awesome, into I will actually show up?
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to figure out that part, too. How do I, because that's why, I joke with the derby guys all the time. It's I don't really care about you guys paying for registration. The point of the registration isn't to help pay for anything. The point of the registration is to make sure you're serious and you want to be here. I want to put a dollar value on it that's enough that if you're going to spend that money to register, you're going to do the thing to come participate. Where if I said
you're invested in it, literally.
Right, it's free. It's free to run a derby car. Then I'd have 1,000 people register, and then I got to figure out how to accommodate 1,000 people, and then 20 still show up. But I spent all the money and energy and effort building out a program to run 1,000 cars, but only 20 people show up.
Right.
And so that's why I do it the way I do it. And that'd be the same. It's the same thing I'm trying to figure out on this trunk or treat thing. And what I'm thinking is it'll be like it's a $50 registration, but we provide the candy. We'll just take everybody's registration money and buy all the candy. Not because we care what candy it is, but we want you to be serious, and you put $50 up, come do your thing.
Do it kind of like Junk Wars and just have like a whole bunch of car parts, and you got like 3 hours to make your car.
That would be fun.
Or do that with the people that want to maybe like a half price thing. Like, all right, you don't have to build your own car, but you can't build anything until day of, and you got to build with what scraps we have.
Right. Well, I think one of the things I want to do,
wobbly wheels. And
one of the things I want to do is I want to start so we're down to like two date options. We're still trying to make for next year's Derby in April, May of next year. We're still trying to figure out the exact date because we're working with the city to try to get dates. Like one of the games that I didn't realize this, but one of the games that the promoters in town play is they get together on a fairly regular basis and just kind of talk about stuff. And so they intentionally make sure they don't schedule on top of each other, which is, that's cool. I mean, I'm not complaining about it. I'm just sad that I didn't know that until now.
Gotta be in the know.
Yeah. And so that's one of the things that they do. And so I don't know, we threw around the idea of moving it back into the summer, which I don't want to do in the summer because it's too hot. But fall's no go because it's football season, and so spring's the right answer, and we're going to do it in spring. But anyway, one of the things I'm thinking about is I'm going to start registration and marketing for the Derby teams like Christmas. Be like, 5 months is not long enough, guys. I promise. You need to get signed up, you need to get registered, and you need to start building your car now.
I think maybe kind of like January 2nd or something. Let's say right around Christmas time, most people are going to be kind of hectic, especially if they're trying to run a business. They probably got a bunch of crazy shit they're doing around the holidays too.
But I'm just saying, just open the registration and then start pushing the promotion into the Christmas time. It's just like, hey, like the soft promotion of just like, hey, go ahead and set your calendar, get ready. I mean, as soon as we settle on the date, I'm gonna go ahead and put it on the website, and it's gonna be up and available. And I'll have our social team put it out and be like, mark your calendars for next year. But then periodically, we're gonna do reminders, but the open registration super early and get as many people signed up as early as possible. Maybe overcharge for registration, but do half price.
Early registration or something.
Half price for the early registration that comes in, by the end of January or something like that. I don't know. Still working on. I got too many things. Too many irons in the fire.
Good way to encourage people to get on the books early.
Yeah.
You get to see some initial interest in it, or how much initial interest you have.
Yeah, and so
if people that have been doing it have been telling people like, "Hey, I just did this. This is awesome. You should do it next year too."
Right. Well, that's one of the things. Is the day after, the first thing I did the day after was reset the website, and there's a contact us, where it's just go to hollyroo.co right now, and there's a button, and you hit that button, and you put in your email, and then we add you to when we start doing announcements for next year's stuff. Because we do get a lot of people day of that are like, "Oh, this is great. How do I get involved in this in the future?"
Right.
And it's like, go to the website right now, click that button, and it'll get put your email in, and we'll start emailing you when things start getting moving.
Check your spam folder.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I have a lot of people that are asking me if we're going to do it in October again, and I'm not. No, we're not doing another Derby in October. I wouldn't mind. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not going to do it this October. With that ship's already sailed. But if it gets bigger and bigger, it might be worth doing it twice a year. Maybe do it in different locations. Maybe not do it in the holler. Do the holler in the spring and find another cool spot in town to do it in the fall.
Summit Hill would be cool, but that'd be a hell of a road to shut down for a while.
Yeah, Summit Hill or Hall of Fame down the hill. That's where the water slide was. It was Hall of Fame from that old Weigel's that's gone now. It's changed names. It's still a gas station.
Yeah.
The water slide went from the top of that hill down to the Civic. Yeah, it's
That's
cool.
a good little haul.
Yeah. It'd be fun to do one down. I'm trying to think where off camp. Like, there's definitely some spots off campus. We could do one. You could do a crazy fun one coming down the hill.
17th Street.
No, like I'm talking about like the hill, like from Ayers Hall on the top of the hill, and it would curve because it's a curve all the way down to Cumberland down there.
You got nowhere to like stop and slow down.
There's a small parking lot down there. I know. I could see the I can see the track in my head right now, and it would work. Problem with that would be that road surface was, unless they might have repaved it since, but back in my day when I was a student there, that road surface was bad. But that'd be a fun one. That'd be a crazy one. How do you spectate that, though? That'd be a hard one to get spectators for. All right. Well, Sam's loaded with the good ideas today. So he got us the 3D mural, and now he's got us the UT Derby cars track. There's a couple spots.
Engineering department involved in.
There's a couple of spots you could do on campus that would be kind of neat. It'd be kind of fun.
You might be able to get some of like the different schools to kind of compete against each other.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to do them. I've gotten verbal on a couple of city departments wanting to get in on next year's.
I remember it was a while back I sent you an article about. I think it was like a high school that was putting one on in like Nashville. I don't know if it was other high schools against different high schools, or if it was all within one high school that had their own kind of soapbox derby.
It'd be kind of fun.
Got up and going.
It'd be kind of fun to do a junior division and do a much shortened, safer version.
Yeah.
Like we could do a straight course for the kids and do like a 12 to 17-year-old class and let a kid do a kid's version. I just like, I don't know. I need to go sit down.
Higher liability insurance on that?
Yeah. I need to go sit down with my insurance guy and talk to him about that. It may not matter. I mean, like, like a lot of people, when you say soapbox to them, they think the kids won. And I've watched some of those. Those are boring. Because those are all just, that's more like, you remember the mousetrap cars we built in like middle school or something like that? Did you guys do that?
No, I don't think I ever did.
But you know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
Well, there's
like the traditional kind of like mousetrap, like a little.
Yeah, and so basically you get that is your one source of power for your car, and it's a contest that for your like STEM kids to do like who can get their car to go the furthest.
Yeah.
And so it's about like slowing the spring down so you get a consistent amount of power instead of all that power immediately. It's about wheel size and friction, so you have traction on your wheels and all that kind of stuff. It's a good engineering project that for kids to do. There's a couple different versions of it. Like, I mean, the Pinewood Derby that Scouts always did is a different version of the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a very strict set of parameters, and how can you do it? So, like the kids' soapbox has always been that, and they're usually very, very near flat courses. A lot of them that I was watching for like there's a national organization that does it's the U.S. Junior Soapbox League or something like that. It's a big deal. Like they travel around the country and do races all over the place. But it's like a 200-yard straight flat piece of road that they have like an 8-foot ramp that starts it. And
I always did. I thought it had a decent slope to them.
Most of the ones that I saw were always fairly flat, and it was really about how far you could get your car to go with the limited amount of gravity start.
The ones we did were just speed. Like they probably weren't more than like 25 feet long or whatever.
But soapbox?
Yeah.
Like you drive the car?
Or not soapbox. Oh, no, Pinewood Derby.
Yeah. Pinewood Derby's that, right. Yeah. But I was talking about soapbox, like the bigger.
Okay, yeah, sorry,
a lot of people think soapbox, but they think those like those teardrop shaped cars. And they're always it's like who can get the car to go the furthest. Like lightest, thinnest wheels, all the different like parameters that you want to get to build into this car to get it. But again, it's that engineering. It's a fun little engineering thing, but like that's not the kind of race I want to build.
Yeah.
But it would be fun to put a kids version together. I'll think about that. Do a kids class that runs early in the day. The first part of the day is kids class, and then the adult crazy comes in the afternoon. That'd be fun. Oh, I'll give my.
You can make like a day of it. And have like the same kits for everybody. And like, all right, you got 3 hours to build what you're doing.
Could be that, or it could be something where we get with Knox County Schools and get each school, see if we can get a club at each school that does it.
Yeah, there's usually at least one cool science teacher at each school.
Right.
At each school.
Get a club at each school, and so like second semester, so starting in January, an after school program where you guys do the engineering of building the car, and you build the car together and you bring it down on race day. That would be interesting. I don't know. I've always have a hard time trying to get, like, I've had a couple of different projects that I've tried to reach out to Knox County schools to set up, and it's the same thing, and I'm never to the level of serious enough about it like we've been talking about the other stuff.
Yeah.
Like, the whole point of why I want Knox County schools to do it is because I want them to do it. I don't want to do anything. I just want to offer the idea and then them take it over. Like, I would love
you to be involved in this, but I want you to do it and just let me know when you're done with it.
Right. Well, it's like, I joke with kids about seeing if they wanted to start a I don't know if they still do AV club. Like, what would AV club be like for kids nowadays? Because everything's so. I mean, most things you don't need to be like top level, like, light and sound's a lot easier nowadays than it was back in the day. Like big screen TVs and projectors are, normal. They're not high end equipment anymore because everybody can have one. And so I was thinking, like all these kids, half the kids, all my kids' friends want to be freaking YouTubers. Why don't we do a content club?
Yeah.
I thought it'd be cool. You get a small studio that is not particularly expensive like mine, and you could do a lot of stuff with it.
So otherwise, you're pretty much sticking to kind of like the drama crowd of, putting on a play, and kind of like the people that are like building the sets and doing the kind of, what do they call them?
Rigging?
Get the name of the people that do it professional. Is it rigging? The people that like make sound for like movies, for like, bones crunching. They've got like a piece of celery stalk,
I don't know.
There's an actual name for people that do Murphy. No,
I don't know what they're called, but
yeah,
I know.
Seems got people interviewed. It's pretty interesting. Yeah. They just figure out how to make different sounds and how to make them artificial.
Yeah. But anyways, I don't know. I just thought it'd be a fun, I thought it'd be a cool little club that I thought a good number of kids would be interested in doing, because you can get a lot of stuff functionally. You can do a lot of stuff functionally for fairly cheap and get pretty decent, with the way social media stuff works. It doesn't have to be like movie theater quality production. And you can
people that record video just using their newer cell phones.
Right, and there's a bunch of free editing apps that, like, you can do videos on your phone, load them into an app, and do a bunch of pretty good basic editing to do a series of videos into one continuous video with voiceover and subtitles and all that kind of crap, and you can do it all pretty easily now inside your phone. But anyway, I don't know. I thought that'd be a fun club for schools to have if they wanted to use it. I think kids would get into it.
I'd be surprised if some schools didn't already have.
Right, legals would get a little bit of a conundrum.
Yeah, it's true. You're dealing with a lot of minors.
Right, and so
or exclusively minors.
The legal department would have to have some say in some of the paperwork and what you can and can't actually. Well, I mean, I think to me it'd be like what you can and can't publish would be the main part of it. We can produce all sorts of stuff, we just can't publish it. Or we have
your kids already on TikTok and Snapchat, but to do it with like the school's backing or whatever.
Well, I mean, hell, for homework, they're making YouTube videos for homework.
Oh shit!
Like we had to make a YouTube video for one of their band things. They had to do a video of themselves playing a piece. It was their solo project.
Yeah,
they had to do a video of themselves performing a piece, and then there's a couple different ways. And like one of the things was the problem with the Chromebooks. You can't really do a lot of stuff into the Chromebooks. They're for their own security's sake, they don't let a lot of inputs work. Like I couldn't even figure out how to get it to use our printer.
Yeah,
stuff like that. And so what we ended up doing was doing the video on a phone and then uploading it into into one of my 7 YouTube accounts that I have, because if you have a Gmail, you have a YouTube account. And then I set it as private and all that kind of stuff, and then we emailed the link with the password for access to the teacher. So they're using it. It's not outside of the realm of them using it. But I think, like I said, I think it would be something you sit down with legals and it'd be like, we could do a whatever school. So Bearden High School, the Bearden High School Content Club can have a YouTube page, and we can upload certain things to that YouTube page, but it has to be like certain stuff. Because I think there's all sorts. I really like this idea. I really, really do. Because I think there's all sorts of stuff. I think you could bring in a teacher, and this would be one of the things you do. Be like, hey, do your lesson for this. And so, so the students work with the teacher on what the lesson is, and then they block out, kind of, not a script per se, but they block out what the episode's going to be. And so, and then they insert graphics, or they insert infographics, or they insert video of what the teacher's talking about, and let them play with the editing and work the editing out, and have this 30-minute lecture on a topic that the students all have to learn for English or whatever. But then they get to do all this stuff to help create it. And then, like, the goal would be, let's make this subject let's do an interesting lecture on this subject, and you get to help make it interesting. How would you take this lecture that this teacher wants to do and make it interesting to you and your friends? Let's make that video. I think that'd be a great thing. And then Knox County Schools would have a big freaking stockpile of all these videos, and sick days, and virtual students can use them for different things and all that kind of stuff. I think it'd be a great asset for Knox County Schools to have doing it. But I don't know how to write that out in a proposal, and that's my problem, probably. All right, you ready to get weird? Let's wrap this thing up.
All right.
All right. Which button's which on here?
Let's see here. We got a controversial flag invited art gallery visitors to, quote, please walk on me. It lasted 19 days.
What flag?
Let's see here. In the Florida Art Gallery, once again packed away following public outcry 30 years after protests forced the removal of the same artwork. They've taken down the art by Maori artists due to escalating tensions and safety fears. It mirrored an Auckland gallery's removal of the work amid public backlash. Let's see here.
So it's a performance art piece.
Several complaints. What is the artwork? Let's see here. Titled "Flagging the Future" is a cloth New Zealand flag displayed on the floor with the words "Please walk on me" stenciled across it. The flag features the British Union Jack and red stars on a blue background. It was meant to provoke reflection on the Maori experience since New Zealand's colonization by Britain in the 19th century.
Yeah, I get it. I could see both sides of that one. All right. That's fun. I like it. It was a good story. Yeah. I mean, I could see somebody doing a piece like that, a piece like that with the American flag at the Knoxville Museum of Art, and it being very controversial, for lack of a better word. Like, yeah. I could see a lot of Facebook fights over it.
It's our land.
Which would it'd be like depends on the artist too. Like if I did it versus if a first what do the Canadians call them?
First Nations,
or what we call American Indians or natives or whatever. I don't remember what the appropriate one is anymore. Indigenous. There we go. That's what we use here. The indigenous peoples. Yeah. Or a black artist. I mean, you could come from a bunch of different angles here and make it quite interesting. And make it a very interesting conversation. I like it. I think we should do. You should do one. Look out for Disable's new artwork. I'm gonna keep giving you all the credit for all the good ideas of this episode.
Shit.
You got one more, and we'll shut it down.
All right. We got tripping hikers mistakenly report a companion's death in the Adirondacks. Let's see here, 2 hikers.
They report a companion what?
Reported a companion's death in the Adirondacks. Yeah. They called 911 to report a third member of their party had died, but it turned out they had taken hallucinogenic mushrooms and were mistaken.
So there weren't the person was there was there or was there not a third person?
There was, but I guess the other two
they were just sleeping or something like that, and they were tripping so hard they thought he died.
Yeah. See, state forest ranger responded about a hiker who had reportedly died on the Cascade Mountain. See, the 2 hikers who called 911 told a steward on the mountain summit they were lost. The steward determined the hikers were in an altered mental state. The supposedly dead person called and was not injured.
He called. Hey, man, I'm not dead.
Ranger escorted the 2 hikers down to an ambulance, which took them to a hospital and brought the third to the group's campsite, where they all later met up, officials said.
All right.
Happy ending.
Nobody died. Good deal. All right.
Yeah.
Word bird. Well, that was fun. See you. We'll do a regular show next week for everybody. Be safe getting back.
Most death.
All right. Later, Tater.
Bye.
That's the show with Sam on the road. We didn't even talk about where he was or what he was doing, but that's okay. It wasn't show worthy. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, Almost Agreement at gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Go to the website, almostagreement.com. Check out what we got going on there. Holloroo is forever away. I'm just so used to saying it. Everybody was okay in this little incident we had on Monday. Thanks for everybody who did reach out. It was meaningful to me. Almost Agreement at gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Go to the website, almostagreement.com. Go to your favorite podcast provider, like, friend, follow, share, text us to your friends. See what you can do to spread the show. We're going to keep doing stuff. And again, I do promise that I eventually will start getting candidates on again when I have time. So anyway, thanks everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.